All right, we're live. Super excited to have you here, Phillip.
Yeah,
Um,
April, thanks for having me.
East Coast to West Coast.
There we go.
Any?
Hey, I'll be on the West Coast next week, so
All right, I was gonna say West Coast is the best coast.
I don't know about that.
Tell me about where you live in South Carolina.
So I'm up here in Greenville, South Carolina.
Mm,
It's what we call the upstate, so not
mm-hmm,
to be confused with upstate New York, but
mm,
upstate South Carolina. It's really in the corner between North Carolina, Georgia, and Tennessee.
mm.
So right below the mountains.
We worked with Deck Builder Legacy Decks. They also have a coaching program for other deck builders, and they're in Greenville. And the projects that they create are stunning. I've
I'll
not
have
been
to check them
there.
out.
Yeah, check it out. You'll be like, I don't know if you have an outdoor living space, but you're gonna want one after that.
Right?
Yeah. Oh man. Anyway, it looks like a really nice area. I've not been there. I'm hoping to get there in September. So if I do, I'll hit you up.
No, it's gorgeous. It's definitely gorgeous. And what part of the West Coast are you on?
San Diego.
Okay, okay. Well, I'll be in Seattle, so quite a ways away from you next week.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty far.
Yeah,
That's like the equivalent of what? Florida to Maine? Just
yeah,
about.
probably something like that. Yeah,
All right.
pretty far.
All right, cool. So I let's introduce you, man. Anyway, we're live. We got a few people here, which is awesome. So my guest today is Phillip Sessions. He's the founder of Refine VA. Here is what it means for you as a deck builder. And I'm telling you, today's episode is really going to fit a lot of folks depending on where you are in your business. His company does a few things. They implement JobTread from scratch. So it's built the way your business actually runs. Okay. They train your team by role. So everyone knows exactly what they own inside the system. And they place construction experienced VAs who work inside your business daily. So the system keeps running without landing back on you. So this is an amazing solution that he provides. We're going to talk a lot about JobTread and the benefits and stuff like that as well, because I can tell you our clients, the most successful deck builders that we work with, are using the platform. We're a premium partner. We 100% back them and highly recommend that you systematize your business, you use a CRM, a project management system, and you move to JobTread if you can. So we're going to talk today about not adding any more HR overhead or having to go through a learning curve, especially in your busy season. And Phillip, welcome to the show. He's going to kind of let us know all about this.
Hey, yeah, I'm excited. There's so many things to unpack. So why don't you let me know which part of what we do you would like me to unpack there first? I mean, we can obviously dive into just delegation, leadership systems. Yeah, so many things for us to talk about.
Yeah,
I'm
there are
excited
a
to be
lot of
here.
things. There are a lot of things, but I for the listeners that don't really know what JobTread is, you want to explain it a little bit?
Yeah, so JobTread is a construction management software. It's not really that new anymore, but I would say it's one of the newer ones on the market. Definitely becoming hotter and hotter on the market. I think over 10,000 users now. But essentially, it can manage your whole project from getting that lead in initially to doing the estimate, documentation, uh, you know, running your whole job and having that all documented, communication for internal communication, external to subs, vendors, clients, you name it. And you even have dashboards, so you can have financial reporting, you can have reporting on basically anything that you put inside JobTread. And then also it's connected to AI, which everybody loves to talk about. And you can now use AI to really help you set that system up to extract information as well. And I mean, the company itself, not just JobTread, the software, but the company is always looking to develop it more. They very much listen to their customers and see what's going on and try and develop those things that aren't
Yes.
working. And I am still shocked, and I'm sure Eric probably hears this all the time too, at how involved he is and how close to everything that he is, and really making sure. And Eric's the CEO of JobTread. and he is really there and cares about construction people. And it is a very cumbersome thing. So if you know about Go High Level, I would say it's the Go High Level of construction management software, because the sky's the limit really at the end of the day. And that's the thing that we hear from clients all the time is, okay, I've got JobTread, but I don't know what I don't know. How do I get this built out? And that's essentially where we come in to help guide our clients along the way of, here's things you can do and where you should start and everything. And if they want to work with us, then awesome. If not, we just give them some tips and move forward.
Yeah. There's a couple of biased reasons why I really like JobTread. The first would be the speed to lead in terms of being able to generate a proposal really quickly. I've
Yes.
talked to different deck builders that, they go to the job, they talk, they consult with the client to really figure out what their dream is and all of that, measure the backyard, maybe put together a quick chat GPT image rendering of what they're looking for, and then they're able to bust out that proposal on the job site, at the homeowner's house.
Hmm.
And that wouldn't be possible without JobTread. And you want to talk about the catalog a little bit, because I'm assuming loading the catalog takes a lot of time, and you're able to help facilitate that grunt work.
Yeah, so if you know exactly what you want, what your cost codes and stuff like that are going to be, then like it really doesn't take a lot of time. But if you don't know what the structure needs to be, it does take a good amount of time. And really, this is the foundation of everything. Everything is built off of getting your cost codes properly set up. So you have your cost codes, which would be like, let's call it framing, decking. If you've got electrical in the works, stuff like that, you're going to have those as your cost codes. And then you have cost items, which should be anything under framing, nails, your, I'm trying to think of, I can't think of the word right now, but formation, stuff of that nature, that you would have like little line items for each of those, all your material
Mm-hmm.
essentially. And then from there, you have what's called a cost group inside of JobTread, that then you can lump all of this together. So rather than when you're trying to create your estimate, okay, I need this little line item and this one, you can preset that up. And then what's really cool is when you go and have created the job for, let's call it for April, you want a new awesome deck. I'm sure everybody's building a deck for you. So you've got like 16 decks now, but you're getting your 17th deck here. And when we go into, April's new awesome deck, we can use that estimate template, that group that we've created, and create an estimate and add line items or take away line items from that template that doesn't affect the template. So especially if April's like, I'm super special, you got to treat me like royalty, I need everything to be gold plated that you're never going to do on another project, you can add that for that project and it doesn't affect your template. But then once you have that together, you have what's called a document template too, which would have your contract, legality stuff in there that you've pre-written. And now you just upload that estimate there, put it on the contract, and you can send it out immediately to April, as long as you also have her contact information and she's able to sign it there on the spot. And we've done this with clients, and we've seen accounts that we've looked at and everything, that they have like a rough estimate. So you can send that out and kind of get that pre-approval, like, hey, okay, roughly this is what we're looking at. And then you can come in with final numbers at the end. But like you said, when you're there looking at their house, you can put that rough estimate together. Okay, we're looking at, 10, 15,000. Then we come back and maybe the full price is 19.5 or something like that. So it's really awesome and streamlines it very well. And you can have other people on your team and not be you, the business owner, that has to know every single thing. But then you can also
Mm-hmm.
go and check it, last second before you send it out. Just they can get a draft together, your internal team, and then you check it before it gets sent out. So it's a powerful software, and that's where really the estimating side breaks down and why it's so easy. Because again, you can do it on your phone, you can do it on the computer, a lot easier on the computer, but you can still do it from your phone and plug all that stuff in.
Man, I tell you what a breath of fresh air. And I'm sure if anybody's listening, you would agree. The relief that comes from you just saying, oh, you can have somebody else put it together,
Yeah.
and I think this is really like, it's a tool,
Hmm.
and And you have to have a strategy and a methodology to use a tool. But what's really nice about, platforms like JobTread and taking your business to the next level and utilizing these things is that you're systematizing, and there's a lot of builders that are still wearing a ton of hats. And so that's one of the first questions I always ask on a strategy call with a potential client is, hey man, what's your life like? Like, are you wearing a million hats? Do you get
Hmm.
home and, are you having dinner with the family and stuff like that? And I think that this software really enables that aspect. Now, a couple of other biased not opinions, I don't know, benefits that I see out of it. And I say that because it's like I'm from marketing, so I'm kind of looking at things from that lens. Um, is the experience that the homeowner has too. It really separates you, especially when you can talk about your process and people will know what to expect if you're
Hmm.
using it in that way. I want to talk about that, and I also want to talk about margins and stabilizing your business. But so I'll leave it to you. Those are a couple of areas that I thought would be really helpful to discuss.
No, you tee that up perfectly. So like, because you have the app on your phone, you're able to go through and show old jobs and say like, hey, here's what it's going to look like. Here's our process. Here's how we communicate. I mean, I don't know about you. I've probably never heard about contractors having communication issues, but this will for sure make sure you don't have communication issues. No, but you're able to send daily logs, send information, any kind of information, ask questions. So it's all tracked there. So you can cover yourself whenever you ask the client a question and they said, yeah, go ahead and do that. And you had that approval, you have that the messages back and forth on that, or if you had to do a change order, you're able to put that in there as well. So there's so many things that are streamlined, especially communication, where we're going to lose our margin. Going back to entering your cost items, you have settings that you can set up for your labor margin as well as markups, your material margin and markups, and then in each individual line item you have what's formulas in there. So if you've got square footage or linear footage, whatever that may be, you can set up what that price needs to be for that material. So when you put in 100 linear feet, now it spits out, okay, it's this price. So again, going back to the delegation, your person that you're going to have do all this data entry just needs to know it's 100 linear feet. They don't need to know 100 linear feet. It's $3 a foot or whatever it is, this, that, and the
Mm-hmm.
other. And then they have to do all the calculations. The software does that for them. And
Mm-hmm.
then plus on top of that, it gives them the power too, because now they don't have to, oh, I hope I don't mess this up and give you the wrong pricing. And now instead of it being a 40% margin, we're actually at a 20% margin, but you're able to see all that very transparently. And if you know that you're going to do like, you need to mark this up more for whatever reason, again, you can change that in that template in the estimate before you send it out, and you're able to track that very easily. So I think I answered most of the questions, but yeah, transparency with the communication, transparency on margins on your side. You can show or hide that information. So if you're a cost plus type builder, you're able to show exactly what that costs and how much you're marking it up. But if you're now I'm blanking out of the term, but you fixed price. If you're fixed price as well, you can hide all that for the client to see, but you're able to see that. Whoever else on the team you want to see that can see that. And I mean, there's views that you can do: admin views, office admin views, your bookkeeper views. You can limit what people can see as far as information on the jobs, particular jobs, all jobs, whatever you want that to be. So it's
Mm-hmm.
very customizable.
Mm-hmm. And I have to imagine what is really beneficial with working with someone like you that has a lot of experience with it is that you know the right type of questions to ask them in order to build it in a way that's really going to work for them. Whereas if they did it on their own, they'd have to like kind of learn the whole system and figure out what the capabilities are. So it has to be quite a bit of a fast track with working with someone like you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've heard people talk about they've taken like 2 years to get the whole thing built out because they try to learn from scratch, and it kills me to see business owners take that long. And really, to me, it's because they've let ego get in the way. They feel like
Mm-hmm.
they have to be the one to know that and like the software before they can let somebody else do it. And that's the thing that's going to keep you where you're at. If
Mhm.
you make it where only you, like, you have to learn it first, you're busy, you're doing 1,500 other things.
Mhm.
Why learn a software as well? And so, yeah, a lot of times what we do is talk with the client and say, hey, what is your process? What does that look like? Walk us through what this journey with the customer looks like. And we get that picture of what it is. And then we'll start asking questions about, like, well, do you want anything to change? Where do you feel like there's deficiencies? And start talking with them about that. And if they're not, sure what they want, we can also show examples of other builds that we've done. Like, hey, here's some stuff we've seen here. Here's some suggestions we have. So it's not just a cookie cutter thing. I mean, we could do cookie cutter as well, but we really want to come in and meet you where you're at. I mean, much like you with marketing, right? You're not just sitting there saying, okay, here's the plan. We're going to spend, $1,500 a month on ads, and we're going to run this thing, and you're going to do all sorts of crazy TikTok dances, like, ready, go. You're actually meeting them where they're at. And I'd be curious, like, what does your process look like? How are you bringing people, like, these deck builders out to get to know how to navigate the strategy for them? Is, I mean, everybody is unique and different in certain ways.
Oh man, where do I start? So, I think a pro can really, kind of like I just said with you. I mean, they know what. Oh, hello. Look who we
There we
have
go. Got a
here.
guest. I like it.
Hi. Look, she's like, you're talking too much and not paying attention to me. We got
Right?
to get Jen, we got to get Coda on the website. She's just a part of this now. And for the listeners, it's my dog. She's a sweetheart. But yeah, being able to ask the right question. So if I was to compare it to a deck builder that was meeting with the homeowner, they don't know what they don't know. And
Yeah.
so working with the pro that can really hold their hand and lead them through that is just a breath of fresh air. I know I already said that, but it is, it makes it a lot easier, so that sometimes people just have a hard time explaining things too. Some people are more visual and things like that. And so if you could extract that from them, then you could put a better solution together. So we have a very intense discovery process. We collect a lot of information, and we want to know what they like and what they don't like when it comes to copy. We help figure out like an archetype for them, so that when we write on their behalf, it's really fitting this kind of persona.
Hmm.
And we put it all together in a brand strategy handbook, so that everything we do from that point is cohesive, and anybody could take it over, God forbid anything happened to us, and be able to kill it from there. So to answer your question, very intense discovery process, systematized because we've been doing it for years and we know the right type of questions to ask, and then really interviewing them and recording all of that in a way that we can translate it all to the team and perfect the perfect strategy for them. You would think that working with deck builders, it would be rinse, wash, and repeat, but every business is different, just like you, right? Like every client you work with has a different approach that they take, different pricing, things like that. And so we have to cater what we do to, even their area, so it's very customized.
Yeah, I mean, and to that, I mean, it's kind of more of a marketing aspect, but even for, like, when you're working with clients, a lot of times the clients that are easier to work with tend to be ones that are similar to us. And so when we're marketing, and this is something that we're constantly working through on our side too, marketing wise, is like trying to make sure we're marketing the proper way of, like, things. One of the things, faith is a very big thing for me. So we end up finding a lot of clients that have faith as one of their things that are important to them as well, because that's how I market myself. And so same thing for deck builders, like, they're going to find people naturally, especially if you're doing the strategy right on their content, that it's going to be more around them. Now, a business has less of that personal side to it, but still, the more you're kind of marketing towards that type of person, like, hey, obviously they want to be outdoors, they're proud of their home, they want to be able to have people over. Those are things that you've got to market about, and then you're going to attract those people in as clients. and hopefully it'll repel the people that are like, yeah, my deck's just broken. Like you're wanting to get the people that are like excited about having that gold plated deck like April and everything.
By the way, I've spoken to a lot of deck builders, and I'm like, "Hey, man, are you guys the shoemaker without any shoes?" And there's quite a few that are. And if you guys look out my window, my deck needs rebuilt. So if there's any folks in the Southern California area that want to hook a sister up, come on over.
But you got to go to JobTread, otherwise it's not
Yeah.
happening. Actually,
So
speaking of that, Eric, I forgot what he mentioned. He had a project and he was looking for somebody using JobTread to do some kind of
yeah,
construction project on his house, which I thought was pretty cool.
yeah.
So,
Well, yes, because what's nice about like I use a lot of vendors. I mean, I don't
hmm
use a lot, but I use different vendors with my business, as do a lot of people, and
hmm
I love it because I get to experience what it's like to be the client. And
yeah,
then it helps me do a better job with our clients because I learn what that experience is like, And so that I'm sure
yeah.
that's why, he wants to see what it's like, Um we so Kevin Haney's here. He said, "Hold my hand, Hootie and the Blowfish," Darius Rucker. For anybody listening, I'm really curious. I know that I've spoken to a lot of folks that have started with JobTread and say, yeah, I'm only using this feature or I'm only doing this one thing because it's a lot of time to have to put into it. And so if you're one of those folks, give me an amen or something because the other thing is it's busy season right now, and a lot
Mm,
of builders will kind of pause on working on the business because they're working in the business at this time. And I'll always push back on that. I mean, I understand, I understand a lot of builders really rely on that busy season and they're putting in the time to make up for when it's slower. But if you have good systems in place and you're delegating properly, this is a great time as always to really to work on things to set yourself up for the slow season and then the busy season next year. So I really want to challenge you to reach out to someone like Phillip with Refined VA, or even your account manager at JobTread, and get that puppy flushed out, and focus on your brilliance. But anywho, we've talked a lot about features and benefits of JobTread. I'm really curious, how in the heck did you niche down to only focus on helping people with JobTread?
so it's a bit of a wild story. So we started Refined VA about 2 years ago with just virtual assistant placements, and I kind of kept seeing the same thing that people would be excited, they'd want to get a virtual assistant. We would do our best doing onboarding, really getting them set up, but everybody always struggled with being able to actually delegate. And then this was like, I think November last year, actually, where we made the switch to JobTread. And the idea was that we'd come in there because a couple people that were using JobTread for their construction services were like, hey, there's a lot of people asking about VAs. Why don't you jump in there? And lo and behold, I jump in there and it's the same thing. Everybody's like, hey, I want to get a VA, but I don't know how to delegate. I don't know anything about JobTread. And I'm like, wait a second. There's something here. I'm the business was not doing so hot because of this like constant churn, because people didn't know how to actually use a virtual assistant or how to delegate. And then I'm also seeing people where they're stuck with JobTread because they didn't know what they didn't know in there. So I'm like, you know what? I know how to delegate. I know how to get people on board. So I'm going to bring people in that have construction experience, that know JobTread, and we can then build JobTread for them. So the service, we're pretty new on the service, to be honest, as far as my company goes. But we've got 4 people currently on the team, and we're looking to get a couple more that really help with build outs that have that construction background. And then we actually have kind of 2 sides of the service. So one, we've got our internal team. So if you're like, hey, look, because sorry, you have the internal team, and then we also just place a virtual assistant with you. But if you are not comfortable, you don't know how to delegate, your communication isn't very very good, then really using our internal services better, because then we can help manage them, make sure that we have certain deliverables that we have, versus if you go with just a VA placement, now you're stuck trying to figure out, okay, what can they do? What do they, I mean, it's basically hiring a person, but they're
Mm-hmm.
remote. So it's even more of a struggle than somebody you're
Mm-hmm.
seeing every day. And then really trying to manage them. And then now you're having to instruct them how to do things inside JobTread, and you don't even know JobTread.
Mm-hmm.
And so we paired these two things together. So that's really how it came all about. And then I just saw that JobTread just continuing to grow. And we talked about that, should we look at other softwares as well? But JobTread is growing so much that at this point, and maybe we'll never need to expand outside of JobTread, but I saw that the pool was big enough that we could get enough business and grow a sizable company without needing to go to other construction management softwares.
Man, niching down, and what that's all about. Just to kind of recap for anybody that's just joining, is like hiring a person to do things versus hiring somebody to solve a problem.
Yeah.
And so that's really what you're doing, which is great. I did have a quote up here from you I want to get to, but Peak Framing said, I just did a trial with House Call Pro and considering JobTread now. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah. Well, happy to
just
have a
do it.
conversation. Hit me
Just
up,
do it. Yeah. Yeah. So, a little preview here. You could always hit Phillip up at info@refineva.com. So, write that email, get it off to him, and let's get this going. Okay. So, the quote was, most contractors don't have a job tread problem. They have an ownership problem. I just think that's brilliant. I mean, that's kind of what you do summarized here. So, anything you want to add on that? I mean, I know that just kind of talked about that, but I think that says it so clearly.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll take this a little bit broader. So not even just JobTread, but like your business in general. The problem is that you are the one that owns everything instead of handing that ownership off to somebody else. And that's what we see time and time again with JobTread, that, oh, I'm the owner of the company. I need to know JobTread the best and be the expert at it, so everybody can come to me with all the time that you have, apparently, to be able to ask questions, when you could just hand it off to somebody else. Hey, that you're going to take lead on this. You're going to learn more about it. We'll make sure to give you capacity so you can learn about it, so people can come to you with questions. But instead, they try and keep it for themselves, or they just say, hey, we're moving to JobTread, and everybody just get on board, and then nobody knows anything about it, and then it just gets super clunky, and then 6 months down the road, if you can make it that far, you're not even using JobTread anymore, yet you're still paying for it and all the seats and everything. So having somebody own it is so important, whether it be JobTread or just anything. Owning a process or owning a particular job, if you want to go job by job, that if you don't have enough people on the team, that, hey, you're going to own this job this time, next time it's going to be somebody else, and you're leading the charge on that and knowing exactly what's happening there. That's what that quote means. And so again, going back to JobTread though, specifically, it's just that nobody owns it, and everybody's just kind of putting stuff in, and there's no system behind it. There's no structure to it. And so it just gets sloppy, and you can have the greatest software in the world and it means nothing. I mean, look at the difference. People using AI. I think that's the broader example for us as well. Some people, like, you're like, what the heck? Like, you're doing that with AI? I didn't even know it did it. And other people are like, I'm still trying to figure out what my meal plan is for this week. So it's a vast difference, and that's what it is. But when somebody owns it and can study it and get into it and create that structure, you're able to streamline your business, which then sets you up to be able to scale, which everybody talks about scaling and wanting to scale, but that's what it really is.
Yeah, everyone talks about it and wants it, but they don't realize that they are in their own way, and with any initiative, like just saying, oh, we're going to get JobTread. I mean, I think sometimes people look at software like it's going to solve a bunch of problems, but
Yeah.
again, it's a tool. Like you have to know what the problem is that you're going to solve and understand how much of a commitment it's going to be to put into that. So, this is kind of a good segue to my next question, which is when your team steps into a builder's account for the first time, what do you typically find? It'd be really nice to know or to have you kind of walk us through what a neglected setup looks like.
Yeah, so a lot of times it's that, jobs are still open that really never went anywhere. Like that, they lost that lead, but they started to create it, kind of created an estimate there. There was no approval, and they never really closed it out in the end. They also have files, and this is a thing. Unfortunately, a little bit of a knock on JobTread that the file, the way you upload it's really clunky. You can upload it, but then you have to go put it into a folder after that. I wish they'd fix that, but you
Okay.
just see like 500 million files that are just in no folders at all,
Mm,
not attached to any job. And then you've got to so there's a lot of cleanup that needs to happen there. Another thing is the naming on jobs, on cost items. Nothing's very clear. Everything's just kind of, they put it in this way, or you forgot that you said, you know, framing, decking, and then whatever, like, gray, whatever the decking color may be. And then you put gray framing decking, and then you put decking framing gray. Like you've changed it up. And so now you've got the same cost item, but it's labeled three different ways, and now you've got three different prices, and you don't know which one to pick, or you put it under different cost codes, and so it gets really messy. And then again, nobody's owning it to make sure it stays clean and organized and structured, so that way you can keep up with things. And as well, like invoices, we've seen times where somebody finished a job and they never sent out the final invoice. Like, how bad is that? You want to get
yeah.
paid and you're wondering why you're having cash flow issues. Well, you didn't even send out the invoice.
Hmm.
So those are a lot of the things that we see oftentimes. Or they've got hundreds or thousands of cost items and no cost groups, for your template, so you can streamline it. They just keep adding
Mm.
things in one by one.
Ooh.
And then we're seeing a lot more people want to try and use AI, and they're struggling with AI. And it's amazing. But if your job trade isn't set up already, AI is only going to make it that much more cluttered.
Yeah.
Trash in, trash out, so to speak.
Yeah. 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 I've been there, man. I mean, honestly, to be vulnerable. So, we use High Level. It's a sales and marketing automation platform, extremely robust. We created our own snapshot called Sales Jumpstart. We've customized it completely for deck builders. And, we've been around for 5 years, so we're always improving it. Man,
Hmm.
when I first, because I set it up in the beginning, and holy crap,
There's so
so
much.
much
Yeah.
junk, because I was just like, oh, yeah, like excited, like this, and this. And it's like, no, really,
Yeah.
I think 80% of the work is in the strategy and the planning. Like the
Hmm.
implementation isn't the hard part. It's trying to figure out how to build something that is going to really accomplish your goals. And
Yeah.
yeah, so I got to imagine you go in there and you see a bunch of mess.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Dashboard's not working, all that stuff, or not even used at all. Like workflows, which is basically automations for JobTread that aren't used. And then, I mean, just to kind of take a step back as well, like Go High Level is amazing. And if you plan on doing more than just literally tracking leads, you definitely need to get something like Go High Level, because it pairs well. It connects to JobTread. We don't do that side of it. I know y'all do, April. But if
Mhm.
you're like literally just wanting to see, is this a lead? Are you in pre-construction? Are you design? Stuff like that. Essentially a basic pipeline. JobTread's great for that. I
Mhm.
would say don't complicate your system by adding in Go High Level simply just for that. But if
Mhm.
you're going to start adding in marketing, which you should be, that's when I would say get Go High Level. and,
Mhm.
and even Go High Level, JobTread, either one piece at a time. Focus on
Oh
one
yeah.
thing. Like you said, create that strategy. And that's what we do with our strategy on JobTread side. Like, we're not like, okay, we're going to try and do everything at once. No, we are going to focus in on getting your estimates in place, which means getting the cost catalogs together, properly set up. And once we get that, then we can build off of everything else. You don't just sit there and throw a bunch of stuff in there and then hope it kind of works. It just takes longer and it's way more messy.
Yeah.
And now it's impacting your jobs because everything's changing all at once. So just focus in on one thing at a time.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm actually going to the chiropractor, or not a chiropractor, a physical therapist right now, and I'm really excited to be working with them. But that's how they do it. Like you want to go and you want to get your money's worth, right? So you're like, do
Mm-hmm.
everything at once, but that's not realistic. That's not real life, you know? And so the first session is like figuring out the source of the problem. You know, it's the diagnosis and coming up with the plan. And then the second is calming the system, you know, and trying to release the grip of the muscles, you know. And then the third and ongoing, it's going to be okay, let's add in, you know, some strength. And you see where I'm going, where it's like you
Yeah.
can't just do all that at one time. It's not sustainable. It's overwhelming too. So
Yeah. Well, and even
it
if you jumped in, because like actually I went to physical therapy last year. I partially tore my bicep, and it's like I didn't realize how much I was compensating with other muscles in order to lift the weights that I was lifting. And then we started talking about it, and it's like, okay, and yeah, they had to work through the muscles, but you know, as we were going through it, they're like, oh, and then I'm like, oh, I didn't realize I was compensating that way. Like, who knew that I was using like my shoulder muscle to help do a bicep curl, or you know, just using all these funky ways to really make it work. And I don't remember all the things, but like there was like a different head of the bicep that apparently I was overusing, which then was causing more pain for me and everything. And they're like, yeah, it's compensating, and it's not meant to actually pull that way, but your body is smart and intelligent and it does that. And so that's essentially what happens with us if we're just trying to do everything at once. They kind of work, but they don't.
mhm.
And it would be so much better, especially for the client, if we just did one thing at a time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, at Deck Builder Marketers, we do everything in order of priority with what's going to make the biggest impact first, and that's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of where that custom strategy comes from. Is really figuring that out, because we want our clients to get a nice return on investment. And if it takes too long for that to happen, well, they don't have a good taste in their mouth, you
Yeah.
know.
Oh
And
yeah.
our clients could cancel anytime, so it's like, man, we really need to prove what we're doing here. So it sounds like you do
Mm.
the same.
Yeah, yeah, and actually, we do a 30-day notice ourselves. So like, hey, if you're not liking anything, just 30-day notice. I've seen too many service businesses that are like, hey, let's lock you into a year contract, and then it
Hmm.
sucks. Like if it's sucky for either side, like let's just be able to rip the band-aid off. Not like,
Yeah.
okay, there's this whole paywall or I got to stay in it. So yeah,
Yeah.
love that y'all are doing that as well. I wish I get it from a business perspective. You got that security, you got that secure client with the contract, but then it becomes only for you, not
Hmm.
for the client's benefit.
Well, yes. Now we're going down a rabbit hole. I'll
Yeah.
just say
Yeah.
this one thing. It's like, sometimes, though, and I've been through it myself, it's like once you make the decision to trust somebody and that you really believe in what you're going to get out of it, it actually alleviates some anxiety if you do sign up for like a longer period of time, because then you're like, hey, man, I've made the decision, I'm all in, versus,
Yeah.
well, I always have this out, so I'm going to like, you know, I'm just going to make sure I look over everything and I'm constantly getting a return on it. And it's like, man, if you're really setting something up for long term, it's, you know, it's going to take a little bit longer. So,
Yeah, I mean that's where right you got to look at your clients and have the conversation with them and really almost interviewing them and not just saying, "Hey, we can help you do this," but like, "Who are you? What's your character like?" So I
mhm,
mean, I definitely agree with you there, and we've seen that with the VA side. That's like, "Hey, yeah, I want to try this thing out," and they use that caveat, "Oh, it didn't work out," and they want to cancel, which definitely has burned us a little bit and definitely made it hard on the business side. So it's just constantly just trying to work with the client and set that expectation up front. I mean, with marketing,
mhm,
you're going to see certain returns in the first 30 days, but it's not like you're going to get a 10x ROI in those first 30 days most
mhm.
likely. I mean, there's probably times that you've been able to do that, but I would say most of the time that's not the case, and it's really is more of a long-term strategy, and so you got to really educate the clients on that.
I'm sorry, I'm shaking my head because Kevin, oh my God, he's got like three things here. He always has to bring up, he always has to bring up, um, what's it called? Anchorman. So
Yeah.
he said, "Yo, sister, get your permits in several years in advance to work in San Diego," which means something regarding a whale, according to Ron
Hmm.
Burgundy, a very wise man. um, and then wait, why is Dave Frazier here? Dave, are you here? Didn't you? Are you doing well, man? Hope you're doing okay. Or were you plugging Dave because he's in San Diego? Maybe you were plugging Dave, Kevin. He said, oh, yeah, Dave Frazier about permits in California, especially SoCal. Yeah. Anyway, Dave, if you're listening, man, I hope you're doing well. I think, anyway, anybody that knows him will know what I'm talking about. Kevin also said a partially torn bicep is. I love you,
That's
man. I
cute.
can't wait to
Yeah.
see you again. A partially torn bicep is cute. Still sucks, but it's almost adorable. No hate intended.
Oh man,
You're
that's
so
funny. Hey,
funny.
we got to pick on each other, right? But yeah, I can't imagine the permitting out there in California. Oh my gosh. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, if you listen to the news, it's wild and it's its own thing. But
Hmm.
still, the things that I hear, I'm like, that just sounds terrible. Like,
Yeah. Well, if you ever travel from Oregon into California, it's like so nice and peaceful and relaxing in Oregon. And then as soon as you cross the border, it's just like sign pollution of all the rules, you know?
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to California, LA actually, like in 2000. So many years ago. I grew up in Texas. And so one of the things that sticks in my mind vividly is signs about being gay and that being such an open thing and
Yeah.
being in like a southern state that was like not a thing. So it was very,
Hmm.
very progressive, very like, whoa, okay, like interesting. So
So how'd you end
definitely
up in
different.
South Carolina?
Yeah, so I have a degree in electrical engineering actually, and so I worked for a manufacturing company called Schneider Electric, and I was in oil and gas before that in Houston, and got laid off, and then interviewed with them in Houston. They said, "Hey, we liked you, but we want somebody else. Can we bounce your resume around internally?" And I said, "Hey, yeah, sure, that sounds great." And then a job came up in South Carolina. Thought I'd just come out here for fun, never been out before, and just explore the area. I was like 25 at the time. So it's like 10 years ago. And then ended up getting married a few years after that. And now I'm here. So,
All right.
but a job brought me out here.
Yeah. Okay. People always ask me how I ended up in California from Ohio. I'm from Cleveland.
Oh, wow. That's
Do
a big difference.
what?
But I
Why
can see the
do
weather.
you? Yeah. I mean, I'm just like sunshine. I just needed some sunshine.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
yeah. Yeah. We get
well,
a lot of people down from Ohio here because of BMW manufacturing.
mm,
So a lot of people from Ohio, Michigan, stuff like that come down here. So
got it.
yeah, they
All
say
right.
the same thing.
How about you walk us through your actual service? So, what does a proper build out cover, and what does a builder actually have when you're done?
So proper build out, like we've been talking about the estimates, cost catalogs. Really, we do a cleanup of everything as well. So we clean up what we need to at the beginning, but then at the end we go through if there's any test projects that we did or test jobs, we clean those up as well. Give you that structure there, create the workflows, create your vendor portal, client portal. Making sure that you have SOPs on everything. So
Mm,
that way, if you decide to go on your own and not get support from us, you're able to at least kind of piecemeal together what happened. But we also set up a call to talk with you through what are the things that we set up, how is it set up, so you understand at least at a high level what that looks like. We also put dashboards in place. So, and those are all customized to what is it that you want to see as a business owner. If you've got salespeople, what do you want them to see? Project managers, what do you want them to see? So really customized to you, but a lot of visibility and in a structure for everything inside of JobTread. And then also we connect QuickBooks as well. So we can work with your bookkeeper to make sure the chart of accounts matches your cost codes inside of JobTread, or we can also do that mapping for you. It just depends on the client. If they want us to take that extra step, they trust us that much, or if they've got somebody to do that, then we work with them on that.
wow. I'm going to tell you, like, as soon as you said you do the SOPs, microphone drop, because guys, that you don't understand, there's so much value in that. What Phillip is saying is that God forbid anything happened to him or his team, you're set up for success. We run our business the same way.
Yeah.
It's just having good and nice integrity and morals, and it's just really frustrating to hear businesses that will paint people in a corner and make it really difficult for them to leave, or they don't even own their own stuff. It's just like, now I'm venting because
Yeah.
it pisses me off, to be honest, and then we come in and we spend the extra time to like do it right, and that is such a value with what you're providing to be able to do that.
Yeah, no, it's awesome to hear that you do that as well, because I mean, I feel like marketers are notorious for that, where it's like, hey, we're going to get you in, we're going to build you this awesome website, it's going to do these great things. Then you're like, hey, this isn't quite working out. Okay, well, you can leave, but you don't own the website, so sorry.
Mm-mm.
And
Yeah.
it's just like, what the heck? Like, I don't understand that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and that's never the way I want it to be. So yeah, we give those SOPs, like everything is yours. There's only, I think, one thing. What is that? I think it's I want to say it's the catalogs that JobTread, like if we come into your account, we can share the catalogs with you, and technically we can unshare them with you, but that's the only feature. But that's not something that I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to build it in your account, you're going to be able to have it and everything. Now you could download it, so if you do have somebody else that builds out your JobTread, you can download everything to have it as a backup. But everybody I talk to that's also implementers of JobTread, they're not like that either. But yeah, I've seen too many people in general in business that are that way, and it makes no sense to me. Why be that way? There's so much out there, so many opportunities. Like, why not kind of give the keys out, let people know how to do things and stand on their own?
Yeah, I think that's just they don't have the confidence in their offering, and so
Yeah.
they do things like that. And it's really good to ask, you guys. Ask so many questions. I think we have an article on our site about the top questions to ask. I think we have a guide on it. We're building these guides for our deck builder clients too, where it's like
Hmm.
top 10 questions to ask a deck builder when before hiring them, because people don't know what they don't know, and man, you really got
Yeah.
to look out for that type of stuff. What's crazy is at deck builder marketers is, man, I talked to somebody yesterday. Ugh, he spent 9 grand on his website. I don't know how long he's had it. I mean, it looks nice, but
Hmm.
no traffic is coming to it. And then uh I don't know. I think that he's still paying monthly, and I don't know that they're actually doing anything. So it's a nice, it's a nice website. I wouldn't say it's like stellar or anything, but if I were to build a website on its own, I would charge about 7,500 with the type of
Hmm.
work that we do. But we include that in our marketing setup fee for 4,500 bucks, which you can
Yeah.
space out over the course of a year. So there's a lot of value in it, and we constantly improve it, and we're constantly adding new things to it, and a ton of other things. If you're interested, let me know. But we'll also redesign it, like 2 years in. If it's starting to get
That's
stale,
awesome.
we'll redo it. And it's no extra charge, it's just we care
Man.
enough. And because we're month to month, we need to make sure that what we're doing is making an impact and representing the company that you are at that moment, because you hopefully will be changing and evolving as you grow and work with us. All right. So, what about this? I think this is a really good question, because is it like set it and forget it? Do a lot of people have the expectation that you're going to do the build out, and then there's nothing after that? They don't need you anymore. So I'm curious, what happens, let's say 6 months after the build out, if no one's maintaining the system? What does
Yeah.
it look like? And does that tend to happen quite a bit?
So far, we're not far enough in it, I think, to see that, like, the comeback from people wanting to come back to us. But we've kind of went about it a few different ways. So we've had clients where it's like, look, we're drowning right now. We really need help, like getting admin, but we also know we need a build out. So we've started like literally just supporting day one, figuring out what needs to be cleaned up, where things are at, and then identifying gaps that they have in their JobTread system, and then discussing, okay, hey, here's what this looks like, and we can either piecemeal the build till it's complete, or okay, here we're going to build the Taj Mahal all at once and build that out. We've also done the other way where it's like, okay, build first and then we have that ongoing support. And we've also, I mean, had both ways where people only wanted support or only wanted to build done. So I've always made it a goal for us, and this is what I tell my team all the time, that we want to leave their account in a way that they can operate it with or without us. And so, again, we haven't had anybody necessarily come back after a build, but I mean, I think we'll see that in the future. And we have seen people where, it's messy. And like I mentioned, the files is probably one of the things that are the easiest one to actually get messy again, where it doesn't upload into the specific job in the specific folder. So that's something that you need to be looking out for, as well as random cost items showing up in there in your cost catalogs, and then outdated prices. I mean, I talk to people all the time, like, how often are you updating these prices here in your cost catalog? And they're like it's basically last time I put it in there, which could have been a year ago. And so there's some things that you can look out for. And then one thing I just thought about, we were talking about payments, stuff like that. One thing I really like about JobTread is that you can actually schedule out your draws that you're going to have. So obviously you're going to have some kind of deposit, after a certain phase, you would have another payment. And I know depending on the deck, it may not be super long. For home remodelers, you could be talking about a year, 2 years, especially if you're a custom home builder. It's a lot longer. And so now you're not having to keep track of, did you get that draw yet? Like, it's all inside of JobTread, and it actually drafts each one of those based on the percentage you want to do, which is really cool. So just side note, I want to mention that that's something else within JobTread that's really helpful to make sure that you actually get paid, and that the client is paying on time, and it's very transparent to know how much of the whole project that they paid for and everything. And you can customize that for each client. Maybe a client's a little hesitant to do, let's say 25 to 50% up front, but maybe they're willing to do 10. And then you can adjust that payment schedule for that particular job, and then not be attached to do the template. But yeah, we see those are the common things we see, is the cost catalogs really get messed up in the files after a while, that we see get messy again.
That payment schedule is really impressive. Now, is that set it and forget it?
You can set it and forget it. So a lot of times with us on our builds, we do 50% up front, 50% upon completion. Something that if we get to the point we need to, somebody wants to do a deposit and have a space like a month out, like once we get to that point, I'm just constantly hiring people, so I don't have to get to that point. But we would then do like a 10% deposit, and then 50% down, and then 40% upon completion, kind of thing. But you can set it up however you want, and then per job you can set that up and only change it for that job. So it can be a set it and forget it kind of thing.
Okay, cool. Well, I know that from my perspective, again, really having a good system in place is helpful. There's a lot of, so I offer a free growth strategy session. You can go to duckbuildermarketers.com and book a call with me. But there's a lot of times where people aren't a good fit. They're not ready. And a lot of times their margins aren't good, and they just don't have their operations system. They don't even have anything, and it's, maybe it's one person doing a million things or whatnot. Like, there's a million different reasons. And so sometimes I'll send people somewhere else, either to, a sales coach or, an operations coach or someone like you. But I'd say the biggest thing that I think that's very valuable with JobTread is the fact that you could see your margins in real time. So guys, I just know your numbers, man. And that's all I want to say. Like, get a system in place so that you know that stuff on a daily basis, because yes, a lot of you guys are artists and you're all about the creativity and what you do. But at the end of the day, we build a business so that we can support our families and have the, lifestyle that we want. There's a lot of work that goes into running a business. So I just want to make sure y'all have good margins.
Yeah, and that's a little bit of a tangent I've been kind of going on, and I mean it's something that we've had to think about the last couple of months too. But everybody talks about, well, just increase your prices. You want to make more money, just increase the prices. Well, what is the right amount of money for you? Of course, the market's going to dictate what you can actually charge, but at the same time, where are you trying to go in your business? You can't just price for where you're at now, because where you're at now, the size of the business you have and everything, you might be profitable. But if you want to invest more into marketing, if you want to be able to have a bigger team, are you able to do that with the margin you have now? So
Mhm.
that's something to consider as well when you're thinking about adjusting your prices, or if you're just setting up your margins of what you want to make.
Mhm.
Think about those things as well. What does the future version of your business look like? And that's where that strategy comes in. Like we talked about at the beginning as well. You have to be strategic and have a reasoning behind it. You can't just charge an obscene amount of money just to charge that obscene amount.
Yeah, for sure. Well, do you want to talk a little bit about your like how to get started working with you? And I know there's a few different ways people can engage. I think everybody would absolutely love to connect with you.
Yeah, so you can reach out to me really on any social media platform if you want directly. Phillip Sessions, that's the real Phillip Sessions on Facebook. I am Phillip Sessions on Instagram. And you can also go to our website, refinedva.com, and you'll actually, if you go to schedule a call with us, it'll actually be my operations manager you'll talk to. I've delegated that out. So, but you can get on a call with us. But if you want to, get on a call with me, just reach out to me in a DM. We can definitely set up a time. And if you want an audit, you can also get one with us. Just, send us an email saying you want to get an audit of your JobTread account. And we can definitely go through, look at your JobTread account, and then get on a call and talk through what we saw, what gaps we've identified that you could do. And then you could take it from there. It's free. But if you want to move forward with us doing a build or support, whatever that may be that we see, we can go forward from there.
Awesome. And then your social handles are at refine.va. And then for the listeners, you can email Phillip at info@refinedva.com. And of course, the website is refinedva.com. Check out what he's up to. And then I just want to leave everybody with your quote. I just think it's so good. Most contractors do not have a JobTread problem. They have an ownership problem. Delegate, baby.
That's right.
Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, April. This was so much fun.
All right, over and out.
Hey, deck building community. Enjoyed the show? Hit subscribe and give us your thoughts. We love hearing from you. Ready to level up your business? Visit deckbuildermarketers.com. Check out our services and let's build your success together. Don't forget to download our free guides. They're a game changer. Thanks for tuning in to We Love Deck Builders and see you on the next episode.